So you all remember the Game Awards, right?
Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay.
on the internet.
The Oscars, you know?
Well, one of the categories was Best Debut Indie Game, sponsored by Shig Hydro or something. And to promote the 5 awesome indie games that were nominated, they did a giveaway where you could put in your email, pick one of the games, and maybe win. I don't know. But whoever wins these things anyway. Yeah, well, apparently me. Like, I genuinely woke up one morning to see an email that was all like, "Congrats, here's Hollow Knight." Okay, that's the first and last time I'm ever gonna win a giveaway, but regardless, I can confidently say that every single penny I spent on Hollow Knight was a very worthwhile decision. All jokes aside, had I bought Hollow Knight full price, I still think it would have been the right choice. I played the game and was instantly captured, and as I went deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, I was continuously amazed by all the game had to offer. Before we properly begin, I want to let you know, if you were worried, that this video will be spoiler-free. Okay, well that's just a lie. I mean, I can't talk about the game without showing some of it, but I won't be talking about or showing too much of it aside from the starting areas. But yes, this game blew me away far more than I was expecting, and in short, the game is ridiculously good. But this is games art. We don't talk in short here. Okay, first off, what even is Hollow Knight? So you're this guy right here, a gender-ambiguous knight searching for... Okay, I wasn't super paying attention to the plot. Like, you're just kind of thrown in and you're supposed to find stuff along the way. Let me look it up for a second. Yeah, okay, so the plot is more of a background dealio. Your character is just going down into the depths of Hallowness for pure exploration. Throughout these depths, you find the remains of an old kingdom that has fallen for... reasons? And start to find out more about what kind of things are hiding around. In terms of gameplay, it's a side-scrolling, action-packed Metroidvania, and for the uninitiated, Metroidvania, originating from the games Metroid and Castlevania, is a semi-open world genre that focuses on exploration, and on a world that's potential increases as you gain more power. Can't get up a ledge? Come back when you can. It's a genre that's been done a lot, but frequently finds unique footing in its many endeavors. Ori and the Blind Forest excels in its beautiful environments and feel-good platforming, for example. Axiom Verge gets its players itching to explore every nook and cranny without making them feel lost in their bountiful options. And Hollow Knight is no different. It's definitely very unique in its feel, with everything having a bug-based design, but it's a cutesy bug type. Not like real bugs. Definitely not like real bugs. The movement is very interesting and fluid, and you'll find some fun platforming challenges along the way. The character designs are super cool, and everyone seems to have their own thing going on. Like Zote the Mighty, an overconfident and kinda delusional knight, or Cloth, the not-so-brave but very capable big bug lady thing, kinda the opposite of Zote. Or even Cornifer, the cartographer of the depths who's super intrigued by the world's design, kinda mimicking what the player feels like. But where this game really shines is the super feel-good combat that it thrives in and encourages even. And it's what I'm going to be largely talking about today. Now, this combat isn't some Tekken or Street Fighter stuff. It's actually really simplistic, but not overly simplistic, just like the right level of simplistic, you know? Well, if you don't, because that was a very vague description, let me get a little in-depth. So you have your basic weapon, the nail. This thing is your melee attack. You can attack left, right, up, and down. They're pretty simple. Then you have literally nothing else. Okay, well, that's a bit of a lie. You do get other stuff, but initially that little nail is literally all you have to your name. You don't even have a name to your name. And even though you get some funky stuff a little bit later on, you're still using the nail for like all your attacks. The way the combat is super interesting is because you're forced to always look for the best opening. So you gotta avoid attacks, but also desperately want to get hits in. And trust me, getting hit yourself sucks. Like when you get hit, you feel it. The other attacks you have are useful sometimes, but they also use up some precious soul from your soul meter. All caps, soul. You know how I said this game encourages you into combat? This soul meter is how. So this thing is what you use for your spells, the other attacks I mentioned earlier, but it's also used to heal yourself. Although, okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Let me explain the health. So you have 5 hearts, except they're not hearts, they're like these little mask things. Same idea though. Every single hit you take does at least a full mask. Some more rare attacks do 2 masks, and those things are terrifying, but like, still, every attack is at least a mask, and getting hit isn't rare. You could easily get hit 5 times between benches, which are your checkpoints where you restore health and set a spawn point for if you die. Thankfully, though, you can get hit more than 5 times thanks to your soul. So this little thing right here will start to fill up as you hit enemies, like you're harvesting their souls or something. At any given moment, you can hold the B button and it'll eat away some of your soul in order to restore your HP. It sounds really dark when you put it like that. Anyway, it's essentially a portable, refillable health potion. And that sounds ridiculously overpowered, doesn't it? Well, it frankly isn't, because you constantly want to have some of this available if you're going to keep taking damage. But to keep it refilled, you have to go fight the people, or bugs, that'll do the damage to you. So it's a give and take. Thankfully, as you kill them, you get the soul back to refill the damage that might have been stolen from you. Another side note, using spells doesn't only use up soul, but it also doesn't refill soul when you successfully hit an enemy. So you only want to use that if you're sure you don't need it for life, which happens occasionally, but this game really wants you to get all up in your enemy's face and slice them. The soul makes it not too difficult to get through most of the game, while somewhat challenging, you won't die too often. But then you get to the bosses. These guys are buff. All caps. Buff. Well, I mean, they are the bosses of the game, and I expect them to have some bulkiness, but these guys aren't pushovers, not even remotely. Let me explain. You know how I said you can heal yourself with your soul? Well, that takes a while. Look. Okay, that didn't seem that long, I know. But imagine yourself in a fight where the enemy is constantly wailing on you. You think you may have found moments where you can heal, but you hesitate, and when you finally decide to try and heal, you get smashed and it negates what you just tried to do. Now, it's not to say you can't find moments to heal yourself in fights, but you really need to have fought the boss a bit to recognize them. And even still, you want to make sure you have the time to heal and move. Sometimes the boss is on the other side of the field, and so that gives you time, but sometimes they don't care and mash you anyway. So, okay, just don't get hit as much while you fight the boss then, right? Easier said than done, my fair viewer. These guys move fast, and while dodging them constantly is for sure possible, you're not getting hits in that way, and the boss gets no closer to dead. I mean, you could use that range spell I was talking about that you get pretty early on, but again, that uses up soul, which you need for health, and you only get soul from hitting the boss with your nail, meaning that you need to get up in your enemy's face before your enemy destroys your face. Okay, so you reach a hard boss fight, right? But you can't really do it, so you decide to come back later. Or do you? When you die, it's not just getting sent back to the closest bench, you also leave behind a shade. These things are, echoes of a previous life. Defeat it to retake its power and become whole. That's just the in-game description. Basically, it means if you die, these things will linger where you were, holding on to part of your soul. And I mean that both without caps and with caps. Meaning, when you die, as long as this thing still remains where you fell, you won't be able to fill your soul all the way to the top. Meaning you only have a max of 2 health refills, not 3. But not only that, these things also hold all the geo, the in-game currency, you had when you died. So you really want to kill it to get that stuff back. It's really useful. Of course, if you die again before you recollect your geo, a new shade appears replacing the old one, and you lose the geo you had on the old shade permanently. It's kinda like Dark Souls in that regard. And I know that's an overdone comparison, but I mean, the shades are literally Dark Souls. Come on. Essentially, you want to destroy that shade as soon as possible. So when you die fighting a boss, where is that shade? Oh, you know, right by where the boss was. In other words, you have to make your way back to the boss fight anyway if you want to get your geo back. So why not retry the fight? And that's how they get you. When you're fighting the boss, they want you to fight them. And when you die, they want you to try again, and so they do everything to push you in that direction. And there is no quick travel in this game either. I mean, there are these stations you can open up around the map to take you places, but only if you are at those stations, meaning you can't directly warp anywhere. Not until much later in the game at least, but even then it's not a two-way warp system. You can't teleport away from the boss arena and then right back after you get more powerful. There isn't that level of convenience for you because they want you to fight the boss now. For me though, there was no better boss fight that pulled me into an endless stream of dying and trying again, seeking for a satisfying victory more than the Mantis Lords. These guys are a fight. Well, they were to me. As I stated way earlier, this game is a very open game. There's a ridiculous amount of possibilities as to the order you complete the areas in. Like, it's kind of absurd. But for me, the Mantis Lords were the third boss I fought, after the False Knight and Hornet. As I was doing some reading later, I discovered they aren't generally the best idea to do third. People were saying they recommend coming back later after maybe increasing health a couple times, or increasing the power of your nail. But I had done neither. I was fighting this boss with the base health of 5 and the base nail power, which made this boss a marathon of a fight. The reason this boss was so difficult was because it was so damn fast. Like, I was constantly on my feet the whole time. Metaphorically speaking, I was definitely actually in my chair while fighting this boss. But I mean, there was like no time to heal. And if I messed up one dodge of an attack, I got obliterated. It would send off a chain reaction of me getting hit, getting caught off guard, and then getting smashed into the spikes. I was so caught up in the heat of the moment all the time that I could never figure out how to dodge this boomerang slicey move, because I could never tell if it was about to circle around the top or around the bottom. I just see the guy show up on the wall and then freak out a bunch and get hit like every time. It kinda took too long for me to really notice that she? It's kinda gender ambiguous, I'll go with they. That they spawned at different heights on the wall depending on if they were gonna shoot up or shoot down. Even when I did though, it still took like 3 attempts for me to really get in the groove of reacting properly to which height they appeared at. I died a lot fighting this guy, and it took like a minute or two for me to get back to the fight after every time I died. And I'd have to fight the Mantis minions on the way. It was challenging. I felt like this guy had an infinite amount of health, and when I finally defeated them, there were 2 more. I got a little bit destroyed the first time those guys showed up. But as I kept fighting the first guy until I could get to the next 2 again, I got a little more in tune with their patterns and attacks. Anytime they showed up on the wall, I could dodge their slicey attack, and that would give me the time to heal if I needed it. But at the same time, I was needing to heal less and less. And then when it comes to the next 2 Mantis Lords, I just had to do the same thing, but a bit faster. And once I'd thrown myself against the first guy for so long, I was ready to do it a second time. But that didn't mean it was easier. I was fighting for my life with these lords. Despite having learned how to fight them by the end, I still felt the weight of all my previous tries riding on me. I'd been fighting these guys for over an hour. It was stressful, and like I said, because I hadn't upgraded my nail, the fight was absurdly long. So when I finally managed to defeat all 3 of them, I was ecstatic. I had to catch my breath because the long journey was finally over. Like, I literally sat for about 2 minutes straight, just breathing heavily because I was so exhausted from the journey, just like in real life. But I felt ridiculously accomplished. Seeing these guys bow to me and getting an achievement called respect, I had won at life. And then every time I walked past the other Mantis enemies from before, they just bow to me, and it felt so damn good. They'd finally met a worthy adversary that deserved their respect, and it was me. Now, even if you made the fight with the Mantis Lords easier by waiting until you've upgraded some of your stuff, don't expect a breeze from every fight. There are definitely some optional ones later on that'll give you quite a challenge if you want. This game is by far not impossibly difficult though. Anyone who's had at least a little bit of experience with action-oriented games should be able to beat this game's main story. But if you want the extra challenge, it's also there waiting for you. If combat isn't really your thing, there's still a lot this game has to offer. Like I said, it's beautiful for one. If you want to explore, there's plenty of secrets hiding behind breakable walls or hidden paths, or great rewards waiting at the end of difficult platforming challenges. If you like a good lore, this game has one in spades. Told cryptically through character interaction and hidden signs, you'll be able to dive deep into the world of Hollow Knight and how it came to be as it is. If you have even a passing interest in Hollow Knight, then buy it. I was expecting this game to be good, but it blew away every expectation I had of it. If this video hasn't convinced you yet, I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there that could. But getting this game isn't something you should pass up, especially if you like Metroidvania games, or action games, or long games, or hard games, or platformers, or open world games too. You get my point. Regardless, thanks everyone so much for watching this next episode of Games Art. My plan is to start releasing these videos bi-weekly now that I'm done with vacation and I'm back to a normal school routine, so stay on the lookout for that. Next time I might see myself going way back to the year 2001 or something. I have a game in mind. I haven't fully decided though. Until then, my name is Aiden, and this has been... Okay, so you know how in my first video I wrote on my script to ad-lib an outro? Okay, well this time I didn't even do that. I couldn't even finish the sentence. Literally all I had to do was say, my name is Aiden, and this has been Games Art, but it just reaches an abrupt end.